Hello everyone, welcome to the video. Salt here. Today we're going to be going over the primary weapon, the Harpak. Now in this weapon series, I take a weapon, I build it out, and I test that weapon on its own merits. Meaning I don't mix it with any kind of external factors that would increase weapon performance. That would be things like Warframe abilities, pets putting statuses on enemies, things like that. I just test the weapon, built out by itself, and I let the viewers make their own intelligent conclusions about adding those external factors. So, okay, let's get into the Harpak. So it's a very unique weapon. It is the harpoon gun of the game. So for anyone that does not like baby seals or whales, this might be the gun for you. So let's get into the build. Now, interesting things about the Harpak is that it has the unique trait where the alternate fire fires a harpoon. And that harpoon will pull in an enemy like pretty aggressively. It'll like ragdoll him towards you. It's pretty shitty. There's really no reason to use it normally, but we will be using it because there is a Harpak specific mod that makes it actually quite good. The other interesting things is, or unique things I should say, that harpoon has a functional range of about 40 meters. The Harpak does have travel time, like bullet travel time or spear travel time. I don't know, whatever we're going to think the Harpak shoots. So I'm going to be using terminal velocity to kind of make that a little bit better. And that's pretty much it. There's not really anything else that's special about the Harpak. It has a higher, it's higher on puncture than it is on other stats, but that's about it. Okay. Let's get into the mods. So, galvanized chamber for multi-shot. Galvanized scope for critical chance. Prime Shred is going to give us fire rate, and it's also going to be giving us punch through. Now, Prime Shred is unfortunately a login reward. If you have Prime Shred, this is the best fire rate mod for this slot. If you don't have Prime Shred, you can use another fire rate mod. I would probably just use the big one. Let me see. I'm going to type in fire rate. I always forget what it's called. Vial acceleration, the 90%. So you get more fire rate than you do with Prime Shred. You just don't get that punch through, and the punch through is really nice. So if you don't have Prime Shred, use Vial Acceleration. If you have Prime Shred, definitely use Prime Shred. Next, we're going to have Hunter Munitions. I tested a lot in this slot. I tested Hunter Munitions against a lot of other mods, and Hunter Munitions was very clearly the winner. I tested it against Serration, Galvanized Aptitude. I tested it against the third Critical Chance mod, like trying to see if I used all three, it would get me more damage. And I mean, obviously it gets you more damage, but it doesn't beat out Hunter Munitions. Hunter Munitions is the best in the slot. So this is just going to give you slashes on criticals 30% of the time. Vital Sense is going to be your crit damage mod. And now we get into the juicy mod here, Exposing Harpoon. This is going to be a Harpak specific mod. So whenever you harpoon an enemy and you pull them, you'll get a 300% critical chance buff for 15 seconds. That's not additive, it's multiplicative. In this case, additive would be better. Multiplicative is a weaker one, but it's still okay. 300% is really freaking good. So now if we look at like the other mod here, let me type in critical. So normally in these two slots here, we use crit chance, crit damage, of course. And we are having crit chance, crit damage. Exposing harpoon is our crit chance, but normally we would be using critical delay. Now critical delay is only 200 instead of 300. And critical delay, you get minus 20% fire rate. So exposing harpoon is just straight up better. And it's not that difficult to once every 15 seconds pressure alternate fire to get 300% critical. So like the conditional of this is very easy to maintain. So if you have access to exposing harpoon, definitely use it. I did check the market prices of exposing harpoon because I thought it was expensive. I think it used to be expensive, but this might have been, if you watch some of my other videos, I said that at one point, one of the augment mods that was very expensive, that was like 200 plat, had become available again, and it, like the price went way down. And I believe this is probably one of them because the price of this is like 10 or 20 plat for an exposing harpoon. So it's very cheap to buy these now. But if you don't have access to exposing harpoon, critical delay is still fine. 200% is still fine. It's just that 300% obviously better. Okay, next two mods here. We're going to have the viral setup here. So we have Malignant Force and Rhyme Rounds to make viral. You can also mess around with maybe you can use primed cryo instead of rhyme rounds. I just wouldn't really suggest that. So yes, if you use like viral only stacks to 10, puncture only stacks to 5. So yeah, you'll get your stacks quickly and you can get more damage out of primed cryo rounds. But the thing is that I feel, and in my testing, I was actually getting more damage out of the 260-60s. And, you know, it's one of these things where, like, if you just use the simulacrum, it doesn't really tell you the whole story. So by using the 260-60s, you get to the maximum of 10 viral stacks, and you get to the maximum of 5 puncture stacks quicker than you would with primed cryo rounds. So you're doing the maximum amount of damage more quickly. You're getting to that point where you are doing that maximum damage quicker. And most of the time, enemies are just going to die pretty quickly. Like, of course, if you summon the highest enemy on Simulacrum and test, this might appear better. But in normal gameplay, it's usually not. The other thing is, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. The other thing is, by putting prime cryo rounds, it's going to increase your viral weighting by a crap load. I mean, you'll still probably pretty easily get to 5 puncture, but it's going to be harder to get to that 5 puncture. It's going to be a little bit slower. Puncture is not like the best, right? I mean, it gives you 25% crit though, so you know it's still pretty decent. It's still pretty decent. You still want 5 puncture. So I like the 260-60s over the prime cryo, but I know there are people that like using that too. So whatever, use what you like. Okay. Exilis mod. Terminal velocity. Terminal velocity is going to help us with the projectile speed. They're not incredibly slow. Like, you probably could get away with not using terminal velocity. There's not really much better. Maybe Vigilante Supplies could give you a little bit slightly more DPS, because it'll turn 1 out of 20 bullets from a yellow crit to an orange, or from an orange crit to a red. But I kind of like the utility from terminal velocity a bit better. Arcane slot, we're going to go for primary deadhead. It's going to give us a 360% flat damage increase, 30% headshot multiplier, and negative 50 weapon recoil. And that is about it. That's it for the Harpak build. This is a interesting weapon. It's pretty interesting. I'm going to show you here on the Inaros, of course. I'm not going to be mixing it with any kind of external factors, so I'm going to be doing this on an Inaros with no Archon shards that increase weapon performance, no mods or arcanes that increase weapon performance, and with a pet with no sentinel weapon and no mods on the pet that increase weapon performance. So let's get into the Kuva Survival on Steel Path, of course, and we'll see how this thing does. Steel Path, there we go. So with this weapon series, I'm trying to go through all the weapons in the game that are Steel Path viable. Of course, there are some weapons that are not Steel Path viable, like the Stug. I still did a video on it as like kind of a joke video for my 100th subscriber video. But like, there are some weapons that are not Steel Path viable, so I won't do those. But this one is. Even though this one might not be the best, it is still Steel Path viable. So I just want to show this off. So once in a while in this gameplay, you're going to see me press my 3 button. And that's just going to give me armor and status immunity. That's the only button I'll be pressing. So let's start it off here. And what we're going to do immediately is we're going to find the first dude and we're going to harpoon him. Here we go. Let's harpoon this guy here. Bam. Now we're at that 300% critical. Now again, it's not 300%. It's not 300% additive, because then you would see like red crits right away. You're obviously not seeing red crits, so it's multiplicative. And the actual shot of the harpoon is very quick. So, and it doesn't really disrupt your primary fire too much, so it's extremely easy to actually keep up that 300%. Like, I tend to even shoot it more than once every 15 seconds, just because I don't want it to like fall off. So like, if I'm like maybe switching targets, I'll just do like a quick harpoon grab, and I know I have my 300% crit back up. There's a little bit of like shenanigans you could probably pull off with the harpoon too. Like, you can kill enemies by pulling them off like ledges and stuff. But Usually the enemies that you would really want to do that to are probably immune to like that kind of a CC. You could probably do it to Eximuses as long as you take out their little overguard first. But it's probably just easier to just kill the Eximus normally. So you want to be shooting normally most of the time. The actual harpoon is a little bit meh. Although technically, here's another unique thing that I didn't say. Technically, the harpoon is multiplicative with galvanized aptitude. But it's only the harpoon, not the actual shots, like normal shots. And because of that, it's not really worth putting galvanized aptitude on. If the normal shots were multiplicative, hell yeah, I'd have galvanized aptitude on probably over Hunter munitions, but it's not. It's additive, so it's not really worth it. If you see once in a while, one of the Grineer will basically like face plant in front of me, and that's just me harpooning them, like this guy here. Boop. So this will get into full oranges. If you can be careful with your headshots, you can be in full oranges. If you're like me and you're maybe not always going to be at 5 stacks of scope, you'll probably be like 50-50 oranges and yellows. But if you can be more careful with your headshots than I am, you can be in full oranges with this, with a full stack of 5 scope. I'm running low on suggestions, so I need some suggestions on weapons to do. I have the dual Ichor for a melee weapon that I have suggested, so I still need to do that one. And the Opticore, which I've been putting off for, oh god, probably like 4 months. I really need to actually get a regular Opticore again is the thing. So I need to get a regular Opticore, and then I need to form it out and then test it against the Vandal. Because the reason I stopped the Opticore, I was about to do the Opticore one day, and then I realized the regular has 800 more flat damage, so it's like, or base damage, I should say. So I have to test to see if the Vandal's increased stats outweigh that, like, 800 base damage. If it was a small base damage, I'd be like, yeah, Vandal all the way. But it is a pretty significant amount of base damage. 800 is a lot. And I don't want to put out a video with, like, you know, the Opticore Vandal when the regular Opticore should have been the one I did it with. You know, like wrong information. So I want to test those first. And I've just been a little bit lazy and I've been putting off the Opticore. I've been doing a lot of other stuff. But I really need to get that done. All right, I'm going to head to that first set of life supports. We'll change the scenery too. That way I'm not just in a hallway the whole time. I think this weapon will appear at the very end pretty average. I don't think this is going to be anything too special. But like I said, in my series, I'm trying to get through all the Steel Path viable weapons. And so, you know, I have to get through this weapon, even though it's maybe not the strongest. I mean, it's still definitely slaying Steel Path enemies. It's just probably not something you'd take to try to do level cap with or something. All right, we're going to have the Acolyte. I'm going to guess this is probably going to be a pretty bad Acolyte killer. And it's Malice. He's the worst Acolyte. Don't know exactly where Malice is. He's probably like... There he is. Or he was just there. I lose him in the Sea of Grineer. He's going to be putting a mag bubble on me, and he tries to get you to down yourself, basically. So you have to be careful with Malice. Oh, we got his shields down. He's going to put that mag bubble on me again soon. I think he just did. Yep. Roll. Drop it. Is that him? No, that is a Eximus. There's too many of the little red markers is the thing. I really need to start marking the Acolyte so I don't lose track of where he is. I think I have the mag level on me again. I'm just going to roll out of it. Yep. Leave it behind. If you try to shoot while you have that mag bubble on, you will kill yourself. This has become a very sloppy fight against the Acolyte. I apologize. Obviously, with Prime Shred, you're going to want to try to like fight in hallways and try to line enemies up. So this is not an ideal spot to be fighting with Prime Shred. Let me see if I can pull enemies back a little bit. You want to play to your weapon's strengths, and with Prime Shred, you definitely want to be fighting in like a linear area. You can see already I'm doing a lot more damage here to trash enemies, and eventually Malice, whenever he decides to come in that tunnel. I think that's him right there. Have the mag bubble again. I'm going to roll out of it. Now, you leave it on the ground, so I actually don't want to back up into it either, so I'm kind of switching my sides here, going on this side now. All right, he's down. Now we can focus on trash again here. I didn't want to show this like just in a hallway, but that fight against the Acolyte was a little bit painful, so I had to kind of like revert back to hallway fighting. I mean, normally you are going to want to fight in hallways with a weapon with punch through. That's kind of like the ideal place for it. Long, narrow areas. Right, I'm going to head to the next set of life supports because I'm going to need them pretty soon. We have about a minute left, and then we'll see what our kill count is. I'm going to guess it's probably going to be about average. So when I do these tests, weapons that are average, that would be like basic assault rifles. This is kind of a basic assault rifle. I mean, maybe a little bit weaker because it's a burst rifle. They usually hit at about like 350 to 400 kills in 10 minutes. And I'm going to guess this is probably going to be closer to like 350. Might even be less because of that really bad area that we were in. That's more of an area issue, though. All right, 15 seconds, and we'll see where we're at. Let me see. Let me try to boost our kill count up. Let me get some more little guys here. All right, 10 minutes. We're at 383. Pretty much what we thought we were going to get. Right in the middle of average. So not a bad weapon. Not a good weapon either. It's just kind of right in the middle. We'll do the Lua test next, which is just another 10 minutes, but it's on Lua Conjunction. Lua Conjunction is going to be slightly higher level enemies, so 180 to 200. They're going to be mixed enemies, so they won't all be Grineer. And it'll force me to fight Thraxes, which are slightly tankier, Eximus type enemies. They're not exactly Eximuses, but they're kind of like super Eximuses. Now, on the Lua Conjunction test, sometimes average weapons will fail at 5 minutes because of life support issues. So this one might fail because it is an average weapon. So we'll cue that Lua Circulus here. Now, the other thing with this weapon, how we set it up for viral. Setting it up for viral is probably the best way to do it generally, but if you're doing Whispers content, just remember that enemies in Whispers are resistant to viral. So corrosive is probably the best one to use for whispers. Well, it is the best. Corrosive is the best general element. It's not probably. Corrosive is the best general element for whispers content. If you were doing specific whisper stuff, like if you were doing like the 60 Eyes boss, like that's specifically murmur, then you'd go radiation. But because constructs are basically like half the things you're fighting, corrosive is the best general element against both those factions. Also in Whispers, Hunter munitions might not get as much value as you do in general gameplay, because just like enemies are resistant to viral, enemies are also a little bit resistant to, well, not a little bit, a lot of it, resistant to slash. So Whispers is kind of like the anti-meta, you know? It's like enemies are resistant to all the elements that, you know, everyone else is vulnerable to in regular content. I knew he was going to steal it. He's going to die from slash probably, yeah. So yeah, for Whispers, switch to Corrosive, and I mean, you could leave Hunter munitions on. You'll still get some effect out of it. Or if you really want to try to min-max, you could probably put like, it's not really anything too great. Maybe like Bladed Rounds, Serration, Galvanized Aptitude, maybe. One of those three will probably be the best option for over Hunter munitions for Whispers content. But if you were to leave Hunter munitions on, and as long as you're switching to Corrosive, you probably wouldn't see that much of a difference in Whispers. It'd probably be still pretty decent. And honestly, Viral's not horrible. Enemies are resistant there to it. But the proc itself gives you a 320% damage boost. So, like, they're resistant, but you still get the damage boost. So it ends up kind of, like, evening out-ish in the end. So, like, if you were... I mean, I'm lazy. I hate switching my builds up. If you were lazy like me and didn't want to switch your builds up, Viral's fine. If you really want to try to min-max, then Corrosive is going to be better for Whispers. All right, let me head to that first set of life supports. Hopefully these enemies follow us. Sometimes in Lua, the enemies are really dumb. They're all corrupted. They shouldn't fight each other, but for some reason they spend like a minute or two in like rooms beating the shit out of each other. So I'm going to hit those 2 life supports, and I'm going to kind of head back and hopefully meet them halfway. Hey, that's a night wave done. Night wave is ending pretty soon, so for anyone that doesn't know, all the night waves use different tokens. So don't try to save tokens for the next night wave. Spend them all. Spend every last token you have. I think it's switching over in like a week and a half-ish. Because the only thing you can do with your tokens after it switches over is sell them for credits, and they don't sell very well. So you might as well just like stock up on, even if it's like stupid stuff like Nightane, like just stock up on Nightane if you need it. All right, I'm going to hit that next life support there, and then we're going to get Thraxes in like 45 seconds. I have a feeling we're going to fail in 5 minutes just because we're already not in a good place for life support. We've been chasing life supports. There's only one left on the field. It's not even spawned in yet. And we're at less than 70%. And we haven't gotten the Acolyte, which means that he's probably going to spawn the same time Thraxes do, which is going to be horrible. So I'm going to guess this will fail at 5 minutes. I'm going to try to farm as many of these little yellow life supports as I can, but... Alright, that one spawned. I'm going to run there and hopefully... let me fight Thraxus here. Hit him with that harpoon. Some slash procs on him. Hunter munitions really helps with the Thraxus here. See how I harpooned him? The harpoon actually works on him as long as you get his overguard down first. There we go. Let's harpoon him again. I missed that harpoon. Let's just kill him so we don't run out of life support here. I may have to run for this life support, and then I'm going to run back and kill that last Thrax. It's a little bit unfortunate because he's probably just going to suck the life support that I pick up right here. But I don't think I would be able to kill him and still have life support. %. We may fail. Got my weapon stolen, of course. Best time could happen. %. Got my weapon stolen again. Beautiful. Yeah, we just failed right there. I'll finish this Thrax off, and then we'll head back to Orbiter. It was very close. All right, so in 6 minutes, and we spent about that last minute fighting Thraxes, so I guess you can kind of think in like 5 minutes. 151 kills. If you would have thought that was like 10 minutes long, 300-ish, it's a little bit below average. So like, Kuva survival was average. This one was probably, if we had gone the full 10 minutes, probably a bit below average. So this weapon is probably average at best, maybe a little bit below average, which is kind of what we were expecting with the Harpak. It's definitely still Steel Path viable. It's a fun weapon. It's just not extremely powerful. So that was the Harpak. Remember, if you guys have any suggestions, make sure to say it in the comment section when this goes up. Just because I am running low. I have the Kuva Sobek, which I'm waiting for the Kuva version to come out, which should be in a couple weeks or a week or so. The Opticore, which still might take me a bit because I still have to actually get a regular Opticore and then format it up. And then the dual Ichors. So the dual Ichor I might do tomorrow. I think I'll probably do the dual Ichor tomorrow, and then make sure to throw some suggestions in too, because we're getting low on those suggestions there. So if you guys liked it, consider giving it a like. If you haven't subbed yet, consider subbing, or tell me what I can do to earn your sub. And thanks for watching, guys. Thanks so much. Have a good day. Bye.